Okay, hello, welcome back to another episode of Book Reviews with Matt. Today I thought I'd do a review of the SF Masterworks edition of I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. Very nice book, very nice cover with a load of vampire ghoul type creatures on the front. This is one of the most riveting and engaging books that I've read to date, to be honest. It's right up there in the my top 5 books of all time, I think, and I know I've not read a lot yet, based on my bibliography and things. It's so superbly written. There's great action set pieces. There's great more thoughtful scenes. It's so superbly written. It's you need to buy this book. It's right in there, 5 stars, no joke. The story tells of Robert Neville, who, as you may have guessed if you've watched the film, is the last man alive, the last human alive. And he lives in Los Angeles and not New York City like the film. It's very, very different to the film in both scope, meaning, and ending. So do pick it up. The film is actually one of my favourite films, or was until I read this, and now I'm revising that opinion because it totally misses the point of the book's meaning, and if you do read this book, you'll see why, especially in the latter half of the book. Robert Neville is just your average man. He's not a virologist, he's not a military guy, he's just an average guy who used to work at a plant, let's say. And he basically is the last man alive, and he lives in a fortified house that he's reinforced by, leaving garlic everywhere and silver and mirrors and all that stuff. It's very much like the old school vampires perspective before all of the Twilight stuff and True Blood, all of that modern era vampire lore. So he holes up in his house every night while the vampires outside and bay for his blood, led by his former work colleague Ben Cortman. And he, during the day, goes hunting and scavenging through the ruins of society, looking for people vampires to kill. So, given that the book was written in 1954, it's a lot more, the perspective on vampires is a lot more medieval, or, and it's a lot more ancient than a lot of the newfangled stuff. And I find that refreshing. I found it refreshing to go back to the beginning, the book that started it all, really, and melded science fiction and horror in this interesting and engaging way. And there's downtime in the book where Robert is assessing the situation, assessing his life. He goes into bouts of despair, and I've read on Goodreads that and other people's reviews of this book, now I've read it, that a lot of people don't like the character or think he's not a very likeable man, but to be honest, I find him quite endearing because he's a man that acts how you'd expect to act if everything that you held dear has been taken away. That's how one would act. Bouts of rage and despair and alcoholism and depression. But he gets over that and tries to make sense of the situation in ways that you'll find out if you read the book. But other than that, I think it's a superb read. He outlines his battle against the monsters in the night, and it truly is one of the most important books I've read, without a shadow. I was riveted to this, right up there, right into my top 5. I read it in about 3 days because it was so engaging. Just absolutely smashed through it, and certainly I'll be looking to more of Richard Matheson's work. I'm not that familiar with his catalogue, and perhaps I should be, but this book gets 5 out of 5 stars to me. A great example of science fiction horror in a post-apocalyptic setting, and a superb book. So do pick it up, and I'll catch you again next time. Thanks.